Mary L. Schmidt, thank you so much for joining me on the UNIWeb interview show. Author of When Angels Fly and Sammy, Hero at Age 5, also under the pen name S. Jackson. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to have you on the show. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join me and talk about your books. Now, these two books, When Angels Fly and Sammy, Hero at Age 5, are personal, true stories. Is that correct?
That is correct. They are.
So, can we talk a little bit about When Angels Fly first? This is the first. That's the first book you published, correct? When Angels Fly.
Yes, that is true. Um, what happened is essentially I had to stop working as a registered nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and once, because health-wise I had to.
Okay.
And then I decided, well, I have to do something, and I have a son who doesn't live that far away from me, about 40 miles, and I was going through all these journals I had, putting them into digital format, and what I was doing is they were journals that I kept during the year 1989 and 1990, from when my
Mm-hmm.
youngest son was finally diagnosed with cancer and how things went day by day in the hospital. I wanted to put them into digital format for my living child.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I did that, the idea of doing a memoir came out.
Okay.
So from that came the idea to do the book. And it has won quite a few awards, which I'm happy because it makes it more visible to those who, I don't know if you read much of it, but it deals with the cycle of abuse in a home,
Okay.
whether it's a spouse, whether it's just abusive parent and different things, and how that cycle of abuse goes on to the next big thing that happened was I lost my firstborn son. He strangled on his umbilical cord.
Mm.
And that was a very hard thing to deal with. And I thought I was going to be a goner, that I couldn't deal with it. But then I decided I'm going to have to just keep going on. And so then I had my middle son, and a year and a half later, my youngest son. And they were like two peas in a pod, and everything was going great. And for the most part, but I did have to leave their father, and he was abusive to me. He wasn't abusive to them, but to me. And I
Okay.
had to leave him. And about 6 months after I left him, my youngest son was diagnosed with cancer in the head and neck.
Mm. At what age was he when he was
He was
diagnosed?
diagnosed at 4.
Wow.
He spent 7.5 months in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and he passed away at age 5.
And what's his name?
His real name is Sam.
Sam. Okay. And
Yeah, but
that's what When
when
Angels
angels
Flies.
fly, his name is Eli, and I can
Mm.
say that everything in when angels fly is true, except every name and every place has been changed
Okay.
just because of the nature of the book. Because what happened to my youngest son should not have happened. It should have been caught sooner. When it was finally caught, the main tumor mass was the size of my fist. That's bad.
Wow.
When you're doing CT scans of the head were misread.
Mm.
So, but what I want people to take away from When Angels Fly is persevering faith, and it is possible to get out of an abusive situation. God loves us. I want people to know that they can, they're going to have all these different feelings when they lose a child,
Yeah.
and they're going to go back and forth between them, and that it is a lifelong thing because it's an out of order birth and it is an actual part of you. It never goes away, but it does get better. It does get easier. You will find that there are moments when you can smile and laugh. So there are positives, and it will get better. You don't have to go. Some people I know have gone straight to the bottle
Yeah.
or drugs, and
Yeah.
Some have, I know, the survivor guilt thing, and they've committed suicide. They
Yep.
just couldn't deal with it. But what's important is you've got to have faith. And you have to rely on that faith and just give it to God and let Him fill you with what you need so that you can move on. You can't ever move past it. You have to go through it. You cannot go around it, but you have to go through that kind of loss.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way. Another thing that I really want people to take away from When Angels Fly is you need to be a parent that's involved. Be an advocate for your child in the hospital. Lots of things are going on. Mistakes are made all the time. If an antibiotic is hung 1 hour late, don't pick that battle. That's not a battle to pick because things happen and it can be late. But if something is given to your child that doesn't even belong to your child, you have to pick your battles because you
Yeah.
don't want to alienate the nursing staff or the physician staff.
Right.
So it's important to not alienate them and be careful with the battles that you choose. And I walked a fine line doing all that. And well,
Yeah.
I did a lot of my son's stuff anyway. So
It's got to be a difficult thing being in there, wishing that you weren't in the situation in the first place, uh, trying to rely on faith the whole time when your child is suffering through something like that had to have been a very difficult, trying time for you. Um, Besides just relying on faith, were there things you did to process what you were going through? I mean, you said you wrote every day,
I
correct?
wrote down everything that happened every day, what my son's counts were, to know if he was going to have chemo, if he was going to look like he was going to need more blood,
Mm,
just every little bit. And I wrote down all the cute moments, the fun moments, the
yeah.
happy moments, the memories. The first time that my middle son was able to come to the medical center and my son was in the hospital bed and he woke up and I do remember this vividly. Mind you, this was in 1990, but I remember it vividly. And
Mm.
my youngest one woke up and he only had one good eye at that point. And all of a sudden it was, brother, brother. And he jumped out of that bed and he would not let go of his brother. It was
Aw.
just so beautiful.
Yeah.
But there was no way that I could have my middle child. I couldn't have him there and be able to take care of everything that my youngest son needed. There was absolutely no way. That wasn't even an option at all.
Yeah.
So I had to find. I found a lady who she passed away a couple years ago, but she was a really great lady, and basically she fostered him for me until I could be back.
With him.
And I felt very fortunate about that.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say more so than being able to write and handle these situations. Trying to go through it alone is an impossible ask of anybody. Um, did you try to surround yourself with other people who are going through similar things, or did you speak to anybody during this time?
I did. It was really quite amazing. I would talk with other parents. Well, first I would talk with parents whose child had cancer
Sure.
because that's who I felt connected to. And we would talk about the protocols being used and how we thought and just ideas and frustrations and those kinds of things. And then I got to talking also with other parents whose children had other issues in the hospital, ones that were more short-term stays.
Yeah.
And then there were some where I didn't even get a chance to talk to them because they would bring their child in on a Friday with a tummy ache and not come back until Sunday to pick them up.
Mm.
So there's that side too.
Yeah.
It just happens that way. But I did feel I have a lot of connections.
Yeah. It's
You,
important. I
you
mean,
just,
going through something like that makes you feel so isolated and alone. Um,
Yes.
obviously you want to be the strong support for your child, and and you just can't do it by yourself. Was there a time was is this book When Angels Fly? It obviously chronicles what your son went through during the diagnosis and the treatment, and then eventual death. Does the book go into what happened with you and your family afterwards?
In the beginning, during it, and a little bit afterwards. Yes, it does.
Okay.
I did not leave much out. I did. All the names, places, and everything has changed because I had to prevent libel. But I'm in a small town of 2,500 people, so that doesn't
Okay.
go very far.
Right.
But still, everything has been changed around. I have my ex is alive still. I don't talk to him. He also abused my children in the hospital.
Mm.
So people will find that. There is a good way, a good thing you can get involved with social services to help you when there's a problem or
Hmm.
something's not going right, because you don't want to have arguing in a room. You don't
Yeah.
want to have, it's just better. There's just a lot of ideas in the book on what to do and what not to do to help your child and to have it be the best environment for your child. For me, I stayed at my son's bedside day and night.
Yeah.
And when my ex would actually be in the city, I gave him his own time
Mm.
and I left the
Okay.
room. Um, and he didn't really do a lot of visiting with my son, but he did more phone calls and trying to, he was more worried about the divorce. So,
Yeah. So so after your son passed away, what was it like for you?
well, when he passed away in my arms. I wanted an autopsy done, and I told them that that was what I wanted before he passed away. I knew
Mm.
that, I mean, his last 15 days were spent on a ventilator,
Mm.
and his lungs were scarred, and things were bad. But my ex wanted medicine injected into the IV to keep his heart going, just no chest compressions. And I didn't want that. But anyways, so they restarted his heart twice, and I finally had to beg my ex to let him go.
Yeah.
And then I held him and I rocked him for like 20 minutes. All the way that I drove, and then I just got in my vehicle and I drove home.
Hmm.
And I left my son's body there with my ex because I knew that my son was going to have an autopsy. What's important here is that the autopsy showed zero cancer. The treatment had worked,
Huh.
but the treatment had also killed.
Wow.
The counts got low. When counts get low, when your white count gets low, then you're susceptible to all kinds of infection.
Right.
And unfortunately, there was an incident with respiratory therapy in trying to do a test on him that was supposed to be done in the future, but it was done when his counts were really low, and it caused scarring in his lungs, and scarred lung tissue does not move in and out.
Right.
It's gone,
Yeah.
and that's what
Right.
happened.
So he couldn't breathe. Need.
He couldn't. And then by the time that I ripped off what they were trying to do and I put him back on oxygen. And he was just kind of blue, and I didn't like how he was looking. And the doctor said, well, let's put him in the step down unit. And I said, no, I want ICU.
Yeah.
And we had to wait 8 hours or 9 hours. My son required a certain kind of platelet at the time that was also cytomegalovirus or CMT negative. Those were the only kinds that he could have and not be introduced with a new germ, a new virus.
Uh-huh.
And we had to wait until some could be flown in.
Okay.
And because of that, his lungs got worse.
Mhm.
So, but he was
Yeah.
cancer free. And it's just what you do. I had other parents that contacted me, got in touch with me, helped me work through my feelings.
Yeah.
Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, I got to talking with her on the phone, well, first by email, and then on the phone. Then she invited me out to the East Coast for something as her guest, a thing that she was doing, a speaking engagement, but I couldn't go at the time. But that impressed me because I kept thinking about the cycle of grief and how that works.
Yeah.
And she's so right, because you can move back and forth, back and forth. It's normal and natural to be angry at God.
Yeah.
You can have that anger. It happens. It's
Yeah.
normal. And then your faith comes back. It's just, this is how it is. And you're going to move back and forth. And at, at this point in my life, I don't have the anger. I don't have any of those things. I'm accepting of what happened. I'm sad,
Right.
but I don't have anger and that kind of thing. For me, there's a new mom. Well, she's not a new mom. She has 3 girls. But she lost a baby in December,
Mm-hmm.
a baby girl. And she was probably 3.5 months. And what happened is her placenta just ripped away from the uterine wall, and so her baby died. So
Okay.
her baby was born with her hand over her heart. And so this woman, this mom, feels like that, well, that was her way of telling her goodbye. But then the mom, she wasn't, I could tell, I could just sense that she wasn't dealing with this loss very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started talking to her more, a lot more, and trying to help her. One of her big things was, did my baby have a soul?
Yeah.
Did my baby have a soul?
Mm-hmm.
And I find that to be true. A lot of people want, did my baby, especially those that are lost earlier in the pregnancy, did my baby have a soul?
Right.
So, they want to know, if they're Christian, they want to know, is there a soul, and did my baby go to heaven?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yes, your baby has a soul at conception.
Right.
And yes, your baby was born straight to heaven.
Yeah.
And your baby is most likely running around like a 1-year-old.
Yeah. I know I can't imagine that form of loss, and pain, and that feeling of wanting to know that the human that you loved before you ever met him is going to be okay, you know?
It's true.
Um,
So I help other parents that have lost, they lose a child, especially in the area. And so I've made connections with them.
mhm.
People helped me,
Yeah,
and now I help others.
that's it. I think that's in terms of you talking about the circle of grief, the greatest way to can like break that cycle, and be able to become accepting is to help others with the experience of the pain that you had to suffer through. Because if it wasn't for people that were around you and you having to go through it, it's like I've heard people call it a mestimony, like the things that in our lives in our past that were so painful that we had to suffer through are there now to be used as uh, miracles in other people's lives, so that we can help another human being know that tomorrow is going to be okay, even if it doesn't feel like it.
That's true.
And it's a beautiful thing that you're doing with the stories, with your memoirs, because that is, in essence, trying to share that story with as many people as possible.
That is what I did with When Angels Fly.
Right.
But the second memoir, or the most recent release, this is like book 16 or 17, is different. It is Sammy. Let's see if you can see that.
Yeah, move over that
Hero.
way.
Which way?
Towards your face a little bit. There you
Here.
go. Perfect.
Sammy, hero at age 5.
I love it.
This book, that is actually my son's face, but painted.
Aw, adorable.
This book is different. This one is written by me and my middle son.
Okay.
And it was a lot harder to write than I thought it would be.
Okay.
So basically, it talks about different memories that they had when they were little and growing up. Yet whether it was how to pick up a crawdad without getting pinched, or just fun moments, fun times.
Mm-hmm.
The writing from the view of a 5-year-old is very hard to do. Yeah, I thought it was going to be easy, and it wasn't that way at all.
I can imagine having to transport your adult mind after going through everything you've gone through into a 5-year-old, like a little innocent mind.
The biggest thing that comes out on this in this book is, well, Sam relates all these little stories about him and his brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does. Different ones at different times in his life, and then he gets to cancer. And there's and how he felt about cancer,
Mm.
and how he felt about radiation, how he felt about different things. And these are things that could be written down simply because they were already written down. His thoughts were already written down in my journals.
Yeah.
So it was easy to put it in that respect, it was easy to add in. This is a 2-hour short read, by the way, or
Okay.
even less than that. It's a short read, and it has a lot of pictures to go with it.
Okay.
Everything, all the names in there are true.
Okay.
Every place is true. There is zero libel in there. I
Right.
made sure that nothing is in there. There's really my children and myself and my husband, really, who are the characters in there in the book. But the main character is Sam, telling his story
Yeah.
and telling how he became a hero, how he ended up, he knew he was going to have a bag battle. Well, first, it because he would hear me praying as he would go to sleep. He would hear me praying, and he didn't know who I was praying to, and he didn't understand. And I wouldn't tell him for a long time in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital, because I thought if I tell him, he's going to want to go there, and I'm not ready for this.
You don't want him to go. Yeah.
No, no, even no, no. Even in When Angels Fly, there's a moment when he's getting ready to go into surgery on his lung to see if that was cancer, because it had hit his stage 4 and had spread when he was finally diagnosed. And he told me he wanted to go to heaven. 5 years old. I want to go to heaven, Mom. And then he said it a second time. And the nurse in there, she didn't say anything. She
Yeah.
just stopped. And I just said, well, we don't always get what we want in life, and you might just have to come back to me. And he did come back to me,
Hmm.
although he eventually left.
Right.
In this book, he talks about his feelings, his thoughts with cancer, his thoughts about seeing a child without hair, being a bald child, and wondering if that was going to happen to him too.
Mm-hmm.
His thoughts about, oh, Mom got to take me to the zoo today, and it was, it was fun to get out of the hospital for a couple hours. And
Yeah.
even though she had to push me, in this stroller, and I'm 5 years old, but he wasn't strong enough to walk the hills, but he went. He got to ride a pony, got to feed a
Oh.
giraffe, things like that. Just beautiful memories. And then
Who? Who
He
would who
started,
would
huh?
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, who would you say the audience is for this kind of? Is it like I know you've written children's book as well. Is this more in line of a children's book, or is it something um, that anybody can pick up and read? What?
It's written from the point of a 5-year-old. I think that 8-year-olds and
Hmm.
above can't. 8-year-olds can understand. They can't read it, but they can understand.
Hmm.
Definitely the teenagers can read it and understand and be inspired, and certainly adults.
Right.
But the younger kids, because it's important that they have hope.
Yeah.
To give them hope and to know that, kids can get hungry sometimes when on chemo and other times they're getting sick.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that the Christian aspect of the way Sam came to know God
Hmm.
is very important. And he did come to know. First, he wondered who I was praying to, and then he was getting an idea of who I was praying to. And then he would see, oh, 2 more kids got to go home today. They had won their cancer battles. And then, oh, little Lucy passed away during the night. And first he didn't know or
Yeah.
understand that. And then there comes a point in the book where he's given a break, and he was given a break, so to speak. He was unconscious for almost 2 days for no reason. And when angels fly, and we included that in this book too. Only in this book, we also included that he was spending that time with Jesus, getting
Hmm.
ready to fight his big battle, which was the last 15 days of his life. And when he passed, he did become a hero
Mm.
because he inspired so many other people. And I can say that because there were people that came from all over. I'm talking nurses and doctors and stuff who came for his service,
Yeah.
and lots of mileage there. And he inspired them that much.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing to hear those kind of stories of perseverance and holding on to a beautiful way of living, even when the life is being taken from you.
Yes, it is. And I think it's a very important message for everyone. It is really important. I agree.
Yeah,
And
because whatever level of suffering somebody's going through, whether it be the loss of a child that you suffered through, whether it be you are the child suffering through it, or any other number of imaginable ways that human beings suffer and go through these things, the idea that we can still choose and focus on living a beautiful, happy, joy filled life, even through the miserable, difficult, scary, deathly things, is, I think, a message that everyone needs to hear.
I perfectly agree. Totally. It is a message, and everyone needs to hear it. They need to read and feel the love. They need to read and feel the faith to
Hmm.
really get that in them. Because once they do, then they have their person to lean on. In case if there's no one there, they have Jesus to lean on
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
help them through. And it's
Right.
just really important that they have that. But this new release, well, I want to say something about When Angels Fly. I don't have the
Sure.
book in front of me, but When Angels Fly will soon have a new cover, although the cover it's got right now is fine. But it is on sale for 99 cents. So
Okay.
When
And it's
Angels Fly,
on Amazon.
it's
Is that right?
on Amazon. It's everywhere. You can
Okay, you
order
can
it
get
from
it Barnes and Noble.
Walmart. You can
Awesome.
order it from anywhere. It's on sale for 99 cents, the ebook. When Angels Fly by S. Jackson and A. Raymond. A. Raymond is my husband.
Okay.
Okay. So, and anybody can go to whenangelsfly.net, and then they can go to any book there.
Okay.
But I do want to say that one's on sale for 99 cents right now. Sammy is on sale the ebook for $1.99.
Okay.
It is that way because although it is 80 pages, there are a lot of photographs in it. So I
Sure.
couldn't go any lower than they couldn't do 99.
Absolutely.
But it's just really great because Sam relates all these fun stories and things that happened in real life.
Yeah. It's definitely sounds like a story worth reading. And even in that, and it shows that even in a short period of time from the time he was born to 5 years old to when he was gone, he made a huge impact, not only in your life, but in now the lives of hundreds of thousands of other people that have read his story because of you. And it just goes to show, like we were saying a moment ago, be the person you want to be in each moment. Live that life that you want to live. Be joyful because you never know who you're going to inspire. And Sammy's a great testament to that. You're also a wonderful testament to that by sharing that story and sharing that message with as many people as possible.
Thank you. It was not easy to do at all. It
I can
wasn't
imagine.
easy. Not at all.
Yeah.
But I know it has, well, I know a lot of people all over the world now,
Yeah.
and I know how it's helped them.
Right.
So that's Liam making an impact. He's still making an impact. And that's another thing I want to point out. When you lose a child, and especially on social media, if somebody posts a poem about missing their child or since she went away or something like that, they don't do that because they want people to sympathize with them. They want their child's memory kept alive.
Absolutely.
And that is something that is hugely important, is to keep your child's memory kept alive
Mm-hmm.
in your heart, in your head. Never let them be forgotten. That is something that parents strive for. That they
Yeah.
don't strive for people to pity them or anything.
Right.
They just want that memory kept alive.
Yeah. Yeah, because they impacted you so much in the time that they were here that you want them to you want everyone to see how incredible they were.
Well, in the case of this little girl that was born with her right hand over her heart, she made an impact too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
She wasn't ever, I mean, she was born straight to heaven, but she made an impact. She
Yeah.
had a soul. She has a mom. She has a mom now who's very protective of anybody who's pregnant. And I mean, I'm working with her, but she's also working with other people already,
Yeah.
helping others.
It's beautiful. A life of service to others is a beautiful way to live,
Yes, it
in
is.
my opinion.
Well, I can only do so much health-wise, but due to
Right.
my health. But yeah,
Well, you did a great job sharing your stories. When Angels Fly and Sammy Hero at Age 5 are both available now. Along with you've written multiple other children's books, is that right? Or
quite a few.
yeah.
Another one, all of the books are by S. Jackson A. Raymond, except for Sammy, Hero at Age 5, which is by M. Schmidt and G.D. Donnelly. So me and
Right.
my son and I. Um, and all the books, the links to them are found on my website, whenangelsfly.net,
Okay.
with the HTTPS.
Right. Yeah, I'll put a link to it in the description of the video so people can find it.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you. So that's there. Another book. Oh, and When Angels Fly, it took an international bronze medal this last
Oh,
November. So we were
wow.
in Miami and we walked the stage
Oh,
to
wow.
receive that. And that was something, and we
How
didn't
many
expect
awards in
that.
total have the books won?
I don't know. I lost count.
Sure. A lot.
When Angels Fly is probably 8 awards.
8?
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sammy Hero just came out, so there's no awards yet, but it's already won a 5-star uh, reader's favorite thing, and it's in the running for the gold medal.
Wow.
And okay, I have a book dealing with bullies, and basically, and they're fully illustrated. Okay, these
Okay.
kids' books are. Every page has illustrations. So the Big Cheese Festival. So we've got this magical forest and Cheese Festival, got all these little dressed up mice and everything, and one of them only has half a tail. And so he's being picked on by his brother's best friend. So he's being bullied. And so it's a book about bullies and how to deal with bullies. And of course, he ends up being king of the Cheese Festival in the end. But it has won. It also took a medal, an international medal, and that was another trip to Miami, Florida for that, to walk the stage.
Cool.
So maybe this can be the 3rd year in a row. I don't know.
That'd be
Maybe
cool.
finally get a gold. Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
If not, it doesn't really matter, because I know that when Sammy, Hero at age 5, when the last final check went before it was sent to be the last blocking done,
Uh-huh.
my this goes a little differently, but my green oxygen tubing moved up and down. I'm just looking at it as like, what? Nothing was causing it to move up and down. But I felt this sense that I didn't feel like anybody was there, but I felt this sense that Sam approved of the book.
Yeah.
Approved of the book.
Yeah.
That's all I could sense. And I don't know why the tubing moved like that. Tubing doesn't do that.
Right.
I'm sitting and here it's doing this. It's like, why is that happening? And then all of a sudden, I'm just filled with, he approves of this book of Sammy, Hero at age 5.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's beautiful.
That kind of sums it up as far as that book goes.
Well, Mary L. Schmidt, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on the UniWeb interview show with me, and share this incredible story, your journey with these books and all your other books. I do hope for continued success in writing for you. Hopefully, like you said, that gold medal this year. But even if that's not the case, the impact you and your son have had on so many other people's lives is an incredible gift, and an award in itself. So thanks again for coming on. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day.
Thank you for having me on here, Matt. I do really appreciate that, and being able to, anybody who watches this will be able to think about being an advocate for their child and about the different things that have been said, and they'll understand maybe a little better about what maybe another person with child loss is feeling. And I'm just, every little bit that can be out there and to help anybody, I'm real happy about.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Mary.
You're welcome.
You have a great day.
You too.